Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us live or at a recording if you're watching this later on. My name is Kelly Hilton, Director of Technology for the San Ramon Valley Unified School District. And I'm here with one of my favorite instructional technology coordinators, Jenny Hunau, who has been serving San Ramon as our instructional technology coordinator and working directly with our teachers on all things AI. So we're excited to talk to you about AI today. And when we are talking about Jenny, if she's not in the classroom or supporting teachers, she has served previously as a high school science teacher. And she also, you can find her outside snowboarding or swimming or anything, maybe doing some yoga and just supporting the community in that way. So thank you for being here, Jenny.
Thank you for having me, Kelly.
We're excited to dive in today on where we've been, where we are now, and where we're trying to head as an organization when it comes to integrating AI into instruction and operational use. And like all the districts across the United States and beyond, we've been grappling with these questions. And really, before we start the conversation today, I just want to preface that our approach has been through shared leadership and really through trying to take it one step at a time. As you know, the narrative around AI keeps changing as the AI advances. And so we're just doing our best to share where we're at right now. And part of our big initiative is to just reflect and then get some new ideas and move forward as well. So, Jenny and I are going to start today with the foundation of San Ramon, which is around strategic directions. And Jenny, do you want to just give an overview of how having these directions helps lay a foundation for us for this AI conversation?
Yeah, absolutely. I am really thankful that our district had already done this strategic directions work because it actually made starting a new project around AI really easy because we already had directions that we were moving in. And so on this pyramid, you can see at the very top, we have deep learning and innovation. And so that's really what we're striving for. And what we realized is that as we're reaching towards that, all of these other things really are foundational and provide the support for the deep learning and innovation to happen. So when we were starting to think about what AI looked like, we really did rely on these strategic directions. And some of the things that really stood out to us were, first of all, the deep learning and innovation, but additionally, we knew that this was also a topic related to equity. We really wanted to make sure that our students, teachers, staff all had equitable access to artificial intelligence tools and the knowledge to be able to use them. And then the third thing that was really important to us was the idea of shared leadership. We knew that we were not going to be able to move anywhere unless we had leaders, at the site level and the classroom level that were willing to do the work.
I love it. It's been really, really helpful to have this. And this was in place before we even knew about thinking about the conversation around AI. So, as you can see at the top of the pyramid, we had deep learning and innovation. So, when AI started to become our topic and we were designing plans, we moved into what are going to be the guiding principles for AI use. So Jenny's going to move us to that page, and you can follow along on the San Ramon Valley Unified School District webpage. I'll drop it in the chat as well. And if you're watching live or recorded, please feel free to add comments and questions for us. But this is a link to our home webpage where we have a page on our guiding principles. Now, the guiding principles for AI use were established last school year, and we aligned them with the work we had been doing around principle number one, deep learning and innovation. Principle number two, using AI to align with our role as developing the skills of a learner profile. Principle number three, developing the skills around instructional design and implementation and changes that might need to occur there. Principle number four, for the purpose of developing student agency. principle number 5, designing the ethical use of AI. And when we talk about the ethical use, for the purposes of where we are currently now as an organization, we believe that that is defined on how the AI is being asked to being used for an assignment. And so that's really a broad conversation that we're still having. And I think perhaps one of the most important ones is principle number 6 around continuous growth and safety. This principle is talked about because AI continues to change, and so do the safety regulations around data privacy. So we have that as a part of our conversation as well. Jenny, is there anything you'd like to add regarding our guiding principles at this time?
Well, I remember when we started to develop them and we were talking with teachers and we were getting their input on how we would guide the use of AI. And initially we were thinking fairly small. We were kind of thinking just around the classroom use. And then we found a framework that we realized we could build our guiding principles that were really in alignment with our strategic directions. And so you'll notice some of the same language, like for instance, the deep learning and innovation really came from the top of that pyramid for our strategic directions. And then, the continuous growth and safety, it's all built in to our strategic directions. And so we really were able to kind of zoom out from just looking at the classroom and really looking at the organization as a whole. And I really appreciated that we were thinking not only about teachers and students, but also staff in, offices that were working and people, kind of behind the scenes in education that also were having this opportunity to really upskill and level up their use and knowledge around AI.
Yes. So this has been the foundation of our work. Another thing that we accomplished last year was to work on our current acceptable use policies for technology. And we did a couple of things. The first thing that we did was change the title of them from acceptable use to responsible use agreements. And that was really intentional because we wanted to set the tone that for the students that we're designing schools for today, their world is human and in real life and online. And so, wherever we can, we want to just talk about responsibilities and use. We do the same around digital citizenship, it's citizenship online or in person. And so, that was one first shift that we made. And then we have a responsible use agreement for early primary students, TK to second grade, then upper elementary students, which is third, fourth, and fifth grade. And then we have a different one written for middle school and one for high school. And each of those are written in kid-friendly language so that the students can have something to guide them and that teachers and administrators can have a conversation around technology use. So when we shifted to responsible use agreements, now we are incorporating some of the concepts around AI in each of these. Most specifically would be the high school one. And Jenny, if you don't mind clicking on the high school agreement real quickly, maybe you can zoom in on some of the AI guiding responsible use recommendations that we added to this. There you go. The responsible use of artificial intelligence. So we just wanted to acknowledge what the parameters are around that, and those have been shared with our school sites as well. But perhaps one of the most impactful things that we've had as an organization right now that I think Jenny's been an incredible leader around is we developed a group of instructional technology leaders with the sole purpose of working together to have conversations around what does this look like on the day to day, knowing that it's different for every content area, it's different for grade levels, and it really has to be designed from the ground up from everybody who is in the classroom designing lessons. And Jenny's been working with this instructional technology leadership group for the past 2 years and designing professional learning for them and collaborating with them. So, Jenny, let's get started with just can you help us talk to us a little bit about the focus last year with the instructional technology leaders, what it was, and then how that led to the work you did with them this year?
I would love to talk about that. So we had last year a group of about 36 kindergarten through 12th grade teachers. And so it was just a mix of educators. And our primary focus last year was really on what are these AI tools? How do these AI tools work? And we pretty much tried everything that came our way. So we were looking at things like Brisk and Conmigo and Diffit. And then we dove into all of the large language models. We looked at Claude and Perplexity and Gemini and ChatGPT. And so we played with all of them to really understand how they worked and what they could do. At that point, there weren't a lot of student-facing AI tools. So things like Magic School and School AI were still developing. They had teacher-facing tools, but not necessarily the student-facing tools yet. And so that was really us just really playing in the sandbox and trying to understand what AI was. And this group of teachers, they were just so innovative and creative and willing to try things. And then they would go back to their school sites and they would share with their colleagues and just kind of introduce it to people. You know, have you seen this? Do you know what it can do? And they were just really there to generate excitement and start the conversation around AI at our schools.
You did an amazing job working with that group, and that group has done an amazing job as well. And last year they had 5 days of professional development where they were able to, put in for a sub for the day, have the time and space to explore what does this mean for education. And so collaborating with those teachers was invaluable. After each time that Jenny worked with that team, then like she said, those teachers would lead instruction at their sites. And sometimes that was an optional after school PD. Sometimes that was at a staff meeting. Sometimes it was one staff ended up going to hosting a parent night. I mean, it was just so wonderful to see the brave leadership of that crew. Now, AI at the time and still now was really teacher facing for teachers to understand how to use it so they could think about how that might roll into their instructional design. So after that foundation last year, how did that build upon what you did this year with a similar group? You changed the model a little bit. So let's talk
Yeah,
about those things.
Yeah, so the second year we did change the model based on feedback from year one. And the request for year two was that we really break into elementary and secondary cohorts. And so the nice thing about that is we were able to increase the number of teachers that participated. And we have close to 50 people in our district that are participants this year. So our elementary group and our secondary groups, they had similar objectives, which was we really wanted to focus on skills and we really wanted to focus on what it looked like to take these tools into the classroom and start to use them with our students. And so, again, these just really intrepid, brave, innovators came in and said, oh, use AI with students? Sure, I can do that. And we were able to find a tool that they could use that with. But the process hasn't really been about the tool. It's really been about, can AI fulfill its promise of, personalizing instruction and creating intervention for students that need a different way of learning or, want to spend extra time learning in a different way. And so that's really been what we've been exploring this year with those groups is what are the skills that our students need to have? How can these tools support learning? And then how do we, as the adults in the room, how do we level up our skills and create a pedagogy that allows for the use of AI in the classroom?
So, what skills do students and teachers need to have? What were
Oh,
some of the common themes that came out of that question?
Well, I think one of the big things that we're figuring out is just the use of discretion, that it's not always appropriate to use AI. And so we really want to know when it's appropriate to use it, because the big fear that, teachers have, and I think even students have this fear, is we don't want people to stop learning. We don't want to bypass human intelligence for artificial intelligence. And so just having that discretion to know this is really something that my human brain needs to do versus something that artificial intelligence can help me with. So I think that discretion is a really critical component. The other thing that comes up quite a bit in our conversations is the ability to think critically. The way that you prompt an AI tool could really give you misinformation. And if you're not aware and careful, you can fall for misinformation. And so that ability to be thinking critically and to verify sources of information, really AI is a source of information. And so the same way that you're teaching students to verify a website that they go to or an article that they've read online, we want them to also verify information that comes from an AI tool.
Excellent. And I really want to put a disclaimer out there that AI is a very broad term. In fact, we didn't define it at the beginning of this conversation, but when we're talking about AI, we're talking about the couple things really. Like one part of it would be the large language models that teachers use, such as Chat GPT or Gemini or Copilot, which our teachers have access to for staff use. Also, Notebook LM for utilizing AI for their own efficiencies and understanding how the tool works. We also try to train classified and certificated staff on all four of those large language models as well, so that anyone in the organization can have an understanding of operational tools and how to utilize them. But when we talk about AI with students so far in San Ramon, there's been some teachers dabbling in a variety of tools that, as long as they're approved software for student data privacy, then they've been using them. And Jenny highlighted the top four last year that were explored: Brisk and Diffit and Conmigo and School Magic School. This year, and also last year too, we did a lot of training around Adobe Education Express AI, where there's image generators, and a big popular tool as well would be Canva AI tools. But another thing that Jenny has been working with this year is a tool called School AI for student use. And we've had 80 classroom teachers working on what does that mean for teaching and learning and for instruction. And for the purposes of time today, Jenny, I think I'll just say we'll have another have you come back maybe in a couple of weeks to talk about School AI, because it's not a pilot. We didn't call it a pilot. It's basically we were able to secure a grant to purchase these licenses for research. And so as an organization, we provided training on that tool, and we're gathering our data right now, and we will let you know. So stay tuned on our School AI research. But something we've also been really working towards is a conversation around AI literacy. And since our organization has access to Google Workspace for Education Premium, that means we also have access to Gemini.com. And if you aren't aware, Google recently announced that they have Gemini.com available for students ages 13 and up. So we have been working towards the conversation of how to make the conditions right for us to turn that on for our high school classrooms. So, Jenny, can you dive into the work that the instructional technology leaders have done to help prepare for that?
Yeah. Well, last year, the fact that they were doing, on-demand trainings at their site and just really supporting people to try AI, that was kind of the beginning of the foundation for preparing for student-facing AI. And then we were really lucky that we had a professional development day, and we were able to have our instructional technology leaders lead professional development for the whole district. And we had about a quarter or more of our staff was able to participate in a session that was centered on AI. And so, about a quarter of the staff said, I want to learn more about this. And they went and they did learn more. Then we had a full day that was kind of the state of the district, where we were talking about the role of AI, our kind of relationship to AI, what we were hoping would happen with AI, that people would try it and find ways to really leverage it. And then this year, we've just kind of deepened that work and been honing in a little bit more on the skills that are needed, rather than here's a tool. It was, here's Gemini and what are the skills that we need. And so we really want our teachers and students to be seeing the same thing. And so when teachers are learning and using Gemini, they're learning what the same tool that the students are going to have access to. So this year we were able to provide a full 90-minute session during our professional development day for every single 6th through 12th grade teacher in our school district to learn about AI and prompting and Gemini and kind of how to introduce and have conversations with your students about the ethical use of AI in your classroom. And so we're going to keep building on that. We've already got plans for how we want to start next year. And again, preparing both the staff and now the students for a new tool.
Excellent. And we were able to really show everyone a framework for basic prompting, the parts framework. But another thing that I just want to highlight that you've done, Jenny, as a leader in our organization is think about the different content areas. And I just want to recognize the work that you did specifically with our high school and middle school English teachers. And we don't have this problem solved or anything. We just want to have conversations around different, that's a different way of thinking when it comes to the large language models in that content area. So you were really proactive in supporting that group. And I know you learned a lot, and they're amazing as well. It was very collaborative. And so I just appreciate that we've been able to go there. But it does take a lot of courageous leadership right now to address these conversations. Can you share with us any high points that you learned from that process, if you will?
I think one of the things that I think about often that gives me a lot of hope about the future and where we're going with all of this is the first year that we were doing our leadership program. I did have some people that joined because they were very skeptical, and they kind of came in thinking, well, I'm going to show them how terrible this idea is. And they actually didn't. These people that told me that's kind of why they joined, the skeptics, as they were, really said, boy, I learned a lot and realized that there is a place in my curriculum for students to be using AI. And it does have capabilities that go beyond what is possible for just a single teacher in a classroom. And so they really, I love that somebody would come in, I asked for skeptics, right? I wanted people to come in that were skeptical, because that's how you get the most collaboration, right? Is the people that are like, well, I'm concerned about this. And it's like, well, let's figure it out. Let's try it together. And so that really happened in that group, where you had somebody that was like, I'm not so sure. And it's like, well, let's work together and figure it out. And so I think our skeptics are really the people that I'm the most proud of, because I think that they helped us grow as an organization just with their perspective.
Yeah, excellent. I mean, that's all of us. Every person in education is on a continuum. And as the world changes, we're adapting to the new world and designing schools for our students who are living in this world, and a world we can't even imagine quite yet. So we're living in both paradigms. And I just appreciate that courageous leadership of really acknowledging the challenges around it. Another thing I'm hoping we could dive into is through that process, you got to collaborate with many educators. on different use cases. And so, since we're focusing on Gemini.com, can you highlight some use cases for utilizing Gemini?
Absolutely. I would love to. So I have Gemini pulled up here. And one thing that I'll point out to you is that there are new features being added to this product regularly. So oftentimes I'll open it and I'm like, oh no, a new button. What is this? What does it do? And I start playing with it. So I won't be able to share all of the new features today, but if I'm a new teacher that's, maybe hasn't used AI before and I'm not really sure where to start, a really simple way to start would just be introduce yourself to the tool, tell it kind of a little bit about your role, and then you're going to ask it to help you learn how to prompt for your goals. So let's say, for example, I am a 7th grade science teacher and I want some prompts to help me design engaging NGSS lessons. Can you help me write some prompts? And so now it's going to give me a list of prompts that I can use with the tool to get better outcomes. And so it's thinking. And you can see, okay, it's going to give me some prompts around some of the science and engineering practices. So I can ask, what's a real world phenomena that's related to this disciplinary core idea or this content that makes you wonder why or how, and how can I turn that into a testable question? So if I'm not sure where to start, this thing knows the NGSS. It knows, what the standards are. It's referring to them, and it's helping me now hone in on a really good prompt to help me get better outcomes. So that would be a first thing that I would do. The next thing that's kind of fun and I want to share with you is this tool that is now available to our workplace accounts, which is the gems. And so in a gem manager, I can go in and they've got some pre-made ones. I wanted to highlight this because you'll see one here that's called a learning coach. So now this is available not only to our teachers, but also to our students. So you can see now as a student, if I'm struggling or I'm embarrassed to talk to a teacher about some gaps that I have, I can actually go into this tool and say, I really need help with this particular content area, and you have a learning coach available to you. So as an educator, even as a student, you have this ability to make a gem, which is basically your own AI assistant. It's a trained AI bot that you create using a prompt. So I built one that's called Engaging Math Tasks for Algebra. And what I did was I went in and I put in these instructions. And my instructions are, I want to implement the new California math framework for my algebra class, and I want some non-curricular tasks. And what that means is I want just fun math tasks that my students can do to start to introduce the content to them and get them talking and sharing their ideas around math. And so when I built this, I was able to upload a document, and let me see if it's linked here. I was actually able to upload a document from the state framework for mathematics so that it now refers to that document rather than going out into the World Wide Web to try to find information. It's going to use the document that I provided to it to give me really high quality answers, and it's going to reduce the hallucinations and things that might occur when I'm sending it out into the internet. So this now gem is available for me anytime I want to come in and work on my algebra class. It has the framework, and I can just click it and start asking it prompts such as, like, I'm starting functions and want a great task to start. Kids talking about math. And then I'm going to let it do its thing, and it's going to give me something that hopefully that I can use. So it's referring now to the document that I provided, so I know that it read it. And then it's going to give me an idea here about cell phone plans. And so I can ask it now to, make something that's student facing. It's telling me why this is a good task, why it's an engaging task, how it's related to functions, how it's connected to the framework. So you can see it jumped in and did all of this. So now I can ask it for more details. What will I do with the cell phone plans to get the kids talking?
What's
So
so
those,
exciting about this, Jenny, is that it's like personalized learning for the teacher. How many times have you been in your classroom just feeling a little isolated sometimes about what am I going to do next? Or you taught a lesson and you want to teach it again, but in a different way because it just didn't land the way that you wanted, and you need some, or you've been teaching the same unit the same way for many years and you wanted to try a new one, or you've never taught it. It's that personalized partner, really. And what am I going to do next as far as an educator, which certainly for teachers facing right now, and then when students have access, that's a goal as well. So, like for GEMS use cases and for the large language model prompting, that could be a great resource. All of the data is pulled directly from Google. Could you also highlight that you can click on the button and pull from your drive directly?
oh, yeah, our drive's not turned on. We can upload files and images, and I know it says that it has to be enabled by admin. So I know that you've been
No,
working on
it should
it.
be on. It should be on. It's on for me. I don't know why it's not on for you. I'll have to check that for you. But
Yeah,
I'm glad you brought that up. But what you should be able to do is click add from Drive. And then there's also just accessibility features built in all of these tools with the microphone as well, as far
no,
as speaking your ideas into the prompting.
not only the microphone, but I was playing with it earlier today, and you can listen to it. And it has, I don't know if you can hear it. Oh, maybe because I'm on the microphone, it's not letting the Google talk, but it's got a very natural sounding voice. It was very pleasant to listen to. I wasn't turned off by like a robotic voice. It was reading in a really natural voice. And I was like, this is actually really good. The other thing that I wanted to point out here is, oh, I can't do it on my GEMS, but I can do it elsewhere. Well, I won't point anything else out.
This is excellent. Thanks for that example. How do you think a student would utilize a tool like this when they have access to Gemini in a classroom? Or how about a teacher ask the student to utilize Gemini in the classroom?
Yeah, there's so many use cases. I mean, this is really where the art of teaching comes in, is that the teachers themselves get opportunities to decide when and how AI could and should be used. And the more that I work with educators, the more just incredible ideas that I hear for uses. I've heard things from, initiating a debate with an AI tool, or having the AI tool act as a character from a book or from history. And you're now interviewing that person to find out more information. It can give you feedback on your thinking or feedback on your learning. As a student, I can have it write me a quiz. So, I'm learning ancient Greece in my 7th grade history class, and I want to practice. And so I can have Gemini write me a quiz. Yesterday, Gemini taught me how to code. So I was able to open up a little canvas in Gemini, and it had written some code for me. And I was able to go in and actually interact with the code and add some images and move some of the features around in this little interactive kind of schematic that I was making to learn the parts of a cell. And I was amazed that it was helping me learn how to code. And I was like, I don't know how to put it in the picture. And it's like, put it here. And then I put it in the wrong place. And it said, oh, you put it in the wrong place. I moved it for you. So it was amazing. So there's so many things that our students can do. I'm sure that once we turn this on for students, they're going to find a million and one ways to use this to, be creative, to help plan their life, to organize their thinking, to learn, to grow. It's just, opportunities are limitless.
Yeah, and it's really for every subject area. I was thinking about a PE teacher the other day and how you could build a workout plan, or you can create a table or a chart to track your own progress. Like there's so many different use cases. So more to come on that. It's a big topic, a big conversation. I just want to appreciate you, Jenny, for your time today. and for your leadership around all of this work that you've done. You've done an amazing job of just taking on a whole new, revolution in education and helping people create the time and space to process it. And we just really value all of your leadership around that. So thank you.
My pleasure. I'm really thankful that it was a priority and that our district was willing to put resources towards it. And it's just really been a lot of fun. I've learned a lot, and our teachers are just amazing people. So we're really lucky.
We are for sure. So more to come with Jenny, because we'll have you come back and talk about school AI and what we learned from the research at some point. And as far as today goes, happy anniversary. I know you're heading out for your anniversary, and I appreciate you. And anybody watching, if you have questions, please reach out to Jenny Hunau or myself, and we'll do our best to collaborate with you on all things tech for Tech Talks. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.